Thank you all so much for joining us today to talk about navigating NIS2 and accelerating IT, OT, security, and manufacturing. My name is Akash Patel. I'm the Global Alliance Leader for AWS at Claroty.
And my name is Ewald Munz from Splunk, Cisco. I look after manufacturing in Europe.
Hi everybody, Gilad Avrashi, Director of Corporate Strategy in Claroty.
Hey, good afternoon everyone. My name is Ashtad Engineer. I lead the manufacturing solutions for AWS.
Awesome. All right, let's dive right in with the first question. So April 2026 is no longer a distant future. It's right around the corner, and it's now an operational deadline for manufacturing companies. And with NIS2 expanding to cover almost 29,000 entities and mandating 24/7 reporting, can you talk to us about, this is for Gilad, can you talk to us about why traditional IT security tools are failing to provide the visibility that our customers need?
Right, so there are actually two aspects of why IT tools are not doing the job with OT. The first one is from technological aspect, right? Cyber-physical systems, what you find in your OT environment are very different from a technical point of view and from a networking point of view. So you have a lot of legacy systems still there. You have a lot of proprietary, ladder logics and protocols that are going on there. And you need some deep expertise in order to patch them, in order to manage them. So that's one aspect which is from the technology. But I think even more importantly, the big difference between IT and OT environments is what you can and cannot do and what you're trying to protect in OT environments. In IT, we're used to talk about data. That's your crown jewel. This is what you're trying to protect. In OT, it's the process itself. It's trying to prevent downtimes. And this is a huge difference because the whole approach of OT security is different from IT because of that. For instance, if you can't do any downtimes, how can you patch? So you would have to think about compensating controls and to do things around the problem in order to keep your OT security, your OT environment secure, but to keep the factory, the plant, whatever process is running from being down and keep on running. So I think these are two very, very important differences between IT and OT that you should be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome, thank you. Over to Ewald. So NIS2 introduces massive changes to the regulatory landscape, including strict 24-hour mandates and also possible direct liability for C-level executives. Can you break down the most critical changes in NIS2, and how do you expect these new enforcement measures to force manufacturers to go from reactive defense to proactive?
That's actually a very good question because actually manufacturing is the most attacked industry and now 5 years in a row. So it's a high time now for manufacturers to be nudged to change this. And you also mentioned NIS2, so you mentioned the strict 24 hours mandate and even a more detailed report after the 24 hours. So manufacturers need this visibility, the holistic visibility across IT and OT environments, which as of today, most manufacturers don't have. Yeah. And you also mentioned the personal liability. Yeah. So the C-level have basically to pay from their own pockets if a breach happens and they're not prepared. Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately also there are high fines up to 10 million in penalty. So of course it's a sharp sword that this NIS2. And to your question, of course now it's high time to be more proactive. And I think this is the three-party approach of Claroty and Nozomi and the Splunk Cisco is very timely because, as I said before, it starts with visibility, with Claroty, the eyes and ears of the industrial environment, followed by a unified visibility via Splunk, of course, then followed by AWS, which is kind of the modernization engine via the cloud, and then it comes again all together in Splunk with a unified resilience, with orchestration and automation. So again, high time to be proactive for manufacturers to comply to this NIS2 directive.
Yeah, I would add to this, I think Ewald alluded to the personal liability for C-levels. Another big change that is coming with NIS2 is the response time. Yeah. Response time is going to 24 hours for a first notification, then 72 hours for a first report. The implications on OT security is that you can't afford to be slow.
Yeah.
This is where, this cloud solutions where you can react quickly, you can be aware of the threat and react quickly is very, very important. You can't allow yourself as an organization to have islands that are not connected and are not monitored all the time, because there is no way you can report in 24 hours if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, 24-hour mandate is going to be an interesting one for many. So, Ashtad, we talked a little bit about compliance, and traditionally we view compliance as a roadblock to innovation, and you argue that modernization is actually the catalyst for compliance. How does the AWS MATAM framework use the cloud to decouple these legacy applications and physically deliver security and auditability regulatory demanding? And before you go into that, if you can spend like 2 seconds going over the MATAM framework, I think that's great.
Yes, I think before I go to the MATAM framework, I think today compliance and modernizations are not competing priorities. Yeah. I think that's key to understand out there. And especially with the two competing initiatives, one is the NIS2 and one is the Industry 5.0. On one side, you want to have like compliance, monitoring, asset inventory, response time, reporting, which requires a modernized infrastructure. At the same time, you require for Industry 5.0, 4.0, you really require hyperconnectivity. You require systems which are able to really communicate and collaborate with data. They also need modernized infrastructure. So the whole manufacturing application and technology modernization is not an afterthought. And I think that is where the competing paradox really starts taking place, that modernization itself today, where security is ground zero. So we believe when manufacturers, and typical manufacturers would have diversified applications down at every layer of the ISA 95 stack, really being able to modernize. I would say compliance is actually a derivative output of your modernized architecture. So do not think of compliance, and I typically see that from customers that, hey, we've got air-gapped environments. But yes, but NIS2 with the air gap, you will not be able to understand your asset inventory if you don't know what's going on. So I think it's an important aspect. And once you start modernizing this system with not an intrusive approach, it really allows you to start collaborating, start using data with Industry 5.0, and especially with this whole heterogeneous agentic world with partners and agents being developed on a rapid pace. I think is an important aspect of compliance and modernization together.
Yeah. Okay. So when we think about modernization, I think one thing that manufacturing customers are concerned with is the downtime when you're ripping out this legacy software and having to kind of modernize your stack. So you've compared this transition to servicing a jet engine mid-flight. Can each of you explain how your platforms work together to guarantee this transition happens with zero downtime?
Yeah, I can go ahead. So it comes through a lot of processes along the way that are designed. I think each one of the companies individually are designing their solutions to consider downtime as a limitation, as something that we would like to avoid. For instance, in Claroty, I would say we mastered the ability to provide visibility through passive collection, meaning that we do not intervene with the OT network. We listen to it, and we create a full inventory with the packet inspection. So without getting too technical around this, it's the ability to have very detailed insight about each one of the assets, whether it's a PLC, HMI, or even a QC camera. And doing this by looking at the network without interfering with the processes. Given this, we have a collection of other ways to collect data. But in terms of thinking about a solution that would not interfere, passive collection, I think is still our number one collection method.
Awesome.
So from an AWS perspective, since we are not a system of record, we are a system of engagement, this really allows us, to your point, it really allows us to see it in a different way. We've got migration accelerators, which really help modernize. And most importantly, we work with our OT ISV ecosystem and partners. I think that's an important aspect, and the proof of the pudding is here with Splunk and Claroty. And we also do work with our industrial OEMs major, where we make it a seamless transition from on-prem, rehost, remigrate, or modernize, for that example. And I think it all starts with asset discovery, which is, of course, a passive way of looking at inventory. Doesn't matter if it's a controller down at level 1 or if it's a SCADA or an MES application at level 2 and 3. And I think that, to us, is an important factor for doing modernization. It's not intrusive. It's the way you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from the Splunk perspective, it all comes together at the so-called agentic SOC, the Security Operations Center, and there's like a dedicated 3-step approach. So we start first with the so-called Cisco Data Fabric, which is an AI-based architecture to unify data across IT and OT environments, both on-premise, both cloud, basically everything from edge to cloud, inclusive Claroty, and of course also inclusive AWS. And once you have this unified visibility, you move on to advanced security analytics with orchestration, automation, with automated attack analyzers. And once you have this advanced analytics, then you start to scale with automated, let's say, workflows and tools. So visibility, advanced analytics, and scale.
Yeah.
And especially from an AWS infrastructure where Splunk and Claroty are, I think the emphasis on data at rest and data in motion. And I think we have built repeatable architectures, really not just the data as rest and motion down at the enterprise level, but even at the IoT and the device level. So I think it's a culmination of a lot of these best practices over the years where we've really seen. And I would say, getting this combination in real acceleration for NIS2 is an important aspect, because then you are actually fast-pacing your journey towards this whole agentic stuff. And I would really advise manufacturers today to not look at, as I said, compliance and modernization as completely two different competing priorities, but I would say it's the same journey.
Yeah, awesome. So this all sounds great in theory, but let's talk a little bit about the real world. We know a major global manufacturing conglomerate recently adopted this exact triad, and they had a massive blind spot. They had massive blind spots and inconsistent security across a very diverse global footprint. How does implementing Claroty on AWS integrated with Splunk move them from a state of reactive defense to fully compliant single source of truth?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, this is a very large conglomerate with footprints in 80 countries across the globe, which unfortunately we cannot disclose who it is. But they came to us initially because they have a lot of lines of businesses and different manufacturing sites across the globe, and they really did not know what they have in terms of simple visibility. So they came to us. They implemented actually our on-prem solution, CTD, and within a few months they had this all deployed across several sites around the world, and they started to report on their assets. They started to gain visibility and see what actually they have, and this is where their appetite grew. So the next step for them was, okay, let's take what we know now and feed it into Splunk. So they use this integration between Claroty and Splunk to get the deep analytics that Splunk can provide. At this point, you can actually start thinking about OT strategy. They went from not knowing what's going on, gaining initial visibility, and then I know what I need to do now proactively in order to reduce risk. So at this point, they start to think about scale.
Yeah.
When you think about scale, you have to think about cloud. Although they did use AWS to manage the sites with the Claroty CTD, when they wanted to go and implement it into all of their operation, they migrated from the Claroty on-prem solution to the Claroty XDOM. This is a cloud solution. This is where they can get real scale with AWS. So I think that's a good example of a journey of how a large company mature its OT security program over time, from visibility to full-scale, maturity with the integrations that we have with Splunk.
Yeah. And I think it's important because Splunk is a leader in IT security and all. So now with the innovation with Claroty and Splunk, you get a holistic view, just not of OT, but OT and IT.
Yeah.
So when you start correlating incidents, the whole incidents management response just opens up because it's not just related to just one OT site or something. You have a holistic view on it. And I think that's an important aspect of NIS2, where you get the best of both the worlds, which is IT and OT.
It's that IT-OT convergence that we're starting to see in the market right now, where OT is coming in scope, and it's crucial to the IT teams as well. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Yeah. I believe that the example you just highlighted, it clearly shows you need IT-OT visibility, you need advanced analytics, and you need the cloud. Yeah. So you need these three components to make a NIS2 compliance
absolutely
necessary.
Yep. Yeah. And the scalability, as I said, we are not a system of record, we are a system of engagement.
Yeah.
So the scale aspect of it, rapidly, and especially in manufacturing, when you're going from site to site, region to region, and having the holistic visibility, it really starts becoming important.
Yeah. Yeah, that better together story between Claroty, AWS, and Splunk is so strong right now, and we're so excited that you guys could join us on stage here today and all the great things that we're doing in the market. So thank you all very much for your time today, and if you guys have time, please stop by the Claroty booth. We're just behind this wall, and we have some coffee for you guys too. Thank you guys so much for joining me on stage today.